So again, we're here at the Louisiana Music Educators Association, LMEA Professional Development Conference and All-State Weekend. And today we have Mr. James Square. James is Mr. Square, they call him, is the music and resource teacher for Tangipahoa Parish. He teaches also beginning band, a great resource there in not only Tangipahoa Parish, but District 9. And he's also has a major and very important role with Louisiana Music Educators Association, as he is the DEI, which is Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion coordinator, council member, who helps guide our organization in that area. So what we're doing, Mr. Square, is just talking about, we're going to start your love for music. Where did that come from and when did that start? And maybe some people or moments of inspiration who helped develop that love.
Sure. I don't know how far you want to go back, but it always starts at home. My parents are musically inclined. Mama, she would hum very well, tinkle on the piano a little bit. Daddy sang in some of the military groups that he was attached with, not necessarily as his MOS, but he just enjoyed singing. And growing up, they always wanted us to be exposed to good music, so we had these album sets that we weren't supposed to touch, but I would always go and drop the needle on these albums. So that started my interest. And then because my older brother was in band and I wanted to do everything he did, I ended up playing trombone and real short at the time and couldn't reach everything. And I thought about quitting, and the teacher said, well, let's just find you a different instrument.
Sure, there's plenty of them. Right?
And there was a tuba standing in the corner.
Oh.
And I said, I want to play that. And she, after a couple of weeks, she drew a line on the board and said, you have to be this tall to play the tuba. And it actually took me about 2 more years to grow to that height, but because it was something different, and I was very non-athletic, still am, but it was just a way to, I guess, express myself and do something more creative than just sit in class and just, take notes, win all the spelling bees, things of that nature. So music's always been, real important to me.
It's always been there. So were you in the high school band that you were straight through, right?
Yes,
so who was there? Who was the inspiration there?
So my band teachers, she's still around, doesn't teach much band anymore, but Peggy Barstick, a lot of folks will recognize that name. That's what we had for beginning band. My high school director was Greg Paniciaro. He's no longer with us, but it's still in our community. We have Teddy Forrest, who's retired from Ponchatoula, that's been influential with me, and then Johnny Babin. Johnny Babin was real involved in LMEA, and he's kind of like a godfather. We share the same birthday, and we always talk, what can we do for music? And
well, you're naming some all-star hits, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm glad to have had their influence.
So you went from there on to college, and
went to the Air Force Academy right out of school because I wanted to be a pilot for a while, 20 years, and then I wanted to go back and become a band director. But eyesight went downhill really fast, some other medical problems, so left the Air Force Academy, ended up at USL in Lafayette, and ended up with a degree in industrial technology just because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Sure.
And Jim Goodman, our band director at the time, stopped me the day that I was picking up cap and gown to get that degree, and he says, it's a shame kids aren't going to have you as their band director. So 20 minutes later, I'm in his office, and he says, all right, you got to take this, and you take this test, and you'll be certified, and it's going to take you about 2.5 years, and I
and you
never
need to be this
looked
tall
back.
to play the tuba.
So I had finally reached that height. And and just having him say those words to me, just really changed the trajectory of my life.
The power of words is so critical, right?
Oh, definitely, yes. And I'm hoping that still now, as a semi-retired, rehired, back in the business director, that some of my words can have that positive influence.
And they do, I'll tell you. I've heard a lot about you through this organization and in all parts of the state. Everybody talks about you and the work that you do. So tying into that, LMEA, you work with DEI. Tell us about that work and what's so important, and what message does this organization need to spread about that?
Lord, where do we start there?
Well, we got time.
Okay, so we had the COVID situation.
Sure.
Everybody's talking about that. But even before that, in that same time period, we've had so many things happen in just American society. We can all remember how we felt about the George Floyd incident. That just sparked a new way of thinking about how we get along with each other, how we exist, coexist, what's important to our humanity. So the leadership of LMEA said, hey James, we know you're supposed to be retired, but we need you to come and help with something. You're a person that people can talk to and you think about things from different perspectives. So here's this thing called DEI, which I hadn't really heard of before. There's a lot of jargon that people will talk.
The new word.
Yes, and I'm just a down to the earth, kind of speaker. And I think what my big takeaway was, how do we find all of these entities in music education to bring them together for the good of kids? If that's our outcome, is to spread goodness through music to kids, to grow them to be productive in our society, how we're going to do that in all of our different entities and divisions of music here in Louisiana.
Right.
And it has been an education for myself, learning a lot of our cultural differences, but even with those differences, what's the common denominator?
What's the common thread? Right.
Yes, and then how do we weave that into a stronger cloth to reach more?
What would you say, I guess you're going to tell me music is our common denominator and the love of each other and working together, or what are some other words that you think weaves us together to that, make that bond?
Boy. Cohesion.
Okay.
Is a big one for us, and it's not just within our own. Like, you're from Calcasieu.
Sure.
I'm from Tangipahoa. I know we're struggling right now with some cohesion in our own area in Tangipahoa, but we look to what's been done for a long time in Calcasieu to find those models of what can we do to retain our teachers, grow our teachers, reach more students, and be more effective in our communities. I guess another word would be, if we just coined it, it's a lifelong, just innate quality in all of us. And if we don't do that in some kind of systematic way, we lose that as part of our culture.
Sure.
I was celebrating in my own way John Philip Sousa week last week, because his birthday was last Monday, and now we'll be beginning band classes without telling them we're going to march to class. I just turned on Stars and Stripes. Said, all right, move your feet, let's go to class.
Let's go to class.
And it was a train wreck, but by the middle of the week they started, kind of falling in line. But then we passed a couple of classes of pre-K and kindergarten kids, and just to watch them just naturally know, let's move with the music. It's like, okay, so that music speaks to all of us.
It's in you.
It's in us.
You gotta have somebody to pull it out.
Right, and I think that's our challenge as music educators. How do we pull that out of them, knowing everything we want to pour into them from the standpoint of curriculum and standards? Sometimes that gets in the way.
It gets in the way.
Yeah.
But we talk a lot about administrative support within LMEA and coaching principals and coaching superintendents, and we have a lot of amazing people out there, certainly. But we want, as an organization, and as band directors and choral directors, orchestra directors, to help them understand what LMEA and what their own music program can do for them. Like you said, the importance of it. So we do a lot of advocacy work. What would you share? What advice would you give school and district level leadership about the importance and what music programs can do for their school and district?
I hope I don't get in trouble for this.
You're not.
But I would like
I'll
to
take
see,
you to lunch. You're fine.
Oh, well, great. I would like to see administrators come into a music classroom and put down the tablet or the notebook or whatever they are doing their observations, but just come and spend some time and see how the culture of a music classroom is different than what else is going on campus. And there are wonderful things that happen across the campus.
Absolutely.
But we are a special breed of people that do what we do in the performing arts. And I wouldn't want them to just come that one time. I want them to make several visits, to come back and learn to be part of that culture as the instructional leader of the school. But then at the same time, those kids will know this is our principal. This is the assistant principal of 9th grade. They came to our band class. When are they coming back? So that you don't have that disconnect between front office and what's happening in your music classroom. You know how it is where there's so few of us in the performing arts on campus as faculty anyhow.
Yeah.
And it's a problem if you don't have that collaboration with the choir teacher, the band director, the drama teacher, and I'm so fortunate we had that at most of the schools where I taught, especially Ponchatoula High.
Right.
And to have kids across campus start to recognize that, well, maybe my friends, they can't dribble a ball, or they don't understand first, second down and these things, but they're part of who we are. Right. And we know they're teachers, and their teachers care about us, and they want us to be part of a bigger community than just, so-and-so's homeroom, or I'm only on the softball team. Right. We all can connect through music.
Yeah. And we also want kids to know, and administrators and teachers to know, that kids can do both.
Oh, for sure.
You can be an athlete
Yes.
and in a music organization.
And I think it's so wonderful when you see that halftime show, and I've had this happen where that team's winning really big, but you've got that tenor sax player that's in band.
Yeah.
And you're playing something like Pick Up the Pieces, and it's like, I know the solo.
Yeah.
Can I play this on the field? It's like, well, let's talk to the coach. And the coach is like, there's going to be a stranger out there in a football outfit. Well, I'll just take my helmet off. But then the whole team wants to see their friend play in the band.
Isn't that the best?
Oh my God. Then the aftermath of that is just how they come together and support each other. So that's really good. That's what we need to do more.
Because we need the adults in the room to support what the kids in the room want to do.
Because the kids one day will be the adults.
That's correct.
So it's cyclical.
It's a culture.
It never ends.
It's a culture. So it's our job to help build and cultivate that culture.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then everything works itself out. DEI, all of it. Advocacy,
Yes.
all of it
Yes.
works itself out.
Yes.
When we all can work together, hand in hand in brotherhood, build that common thread that you mentioned and make it stronger, and we're going to get a win.
The jargon that we were talking about earlier, the social emotional learning. Like,
Sure.
Oh my God, I know I'm tired of hearing about
Right.
it. And get myself in trouble again.
No.
We have this curriculum that comes down from New York City that says, here's what you're going to do in your social emotional learning. I don't think there's any better vehicle for social emotional learning than to put a kid in a choir class, band class, theater, anything in the arts. Even if they're in visual arts, they're working with common clay, common media, but to see their creativity and how they share their ideas about it. Yes. Right. So much of our core curriculum is let's impress this curriculum on these kids so they can regurgitate this on standardized testing. And now we've got our data. It's fine. That works for that side.
Great, fine.
But what about the creative part of
where they can express?
Yes. If we don't let kids learn to be expressive, we can teach them everything in the STEM curriculum, and they can regurge and rebuild and prove theories that have been there. But when we put the A in the middle of it and make it STEAM,
that's correct.
Now they put in their own creativity and they start thinking beyond what's been taught, and they start thinking, well, what if? Is it possible to do such and such? What if we put this twist on things? That's just square.
That's just square is right. So, Mr. Square, thank you so much. I wish we had more time, and we can certainly do part 2 because
Sure.
Your message is something that needs to be heard by kids, parents, community, business leaders, politicians, administrators, and we appreciate your time today. And we appreciate all you do. You're a legend in LMEA. You're a legend in the state of Louisiana. And you're a blessing to us as we approach Thanksgiving. We're thankful for you and your knowledge and what you can bring to this organization. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.